doomed for failure. Unlike this fish room you're about to see. Oh my God, what is this? G'day you mob, Blackie here. You might have seen this space on the internet before. We've got sports, we've got video games. Oh, not so much on that television at the moment because it's off at the moment. And we've got fish tanks. Whoa, hang on. What's going on over there? We've got television as well.
My favourite channel.
And
Scungy.
We've got this guy. Welcome to Aqua Mate's fish garage, I guess you could call it. He looks really dark at the moment because the lighting's really crap.
I could turn this on, but it kind of...
Go on, turn it on.
Doesn't really ruin anything.
You're not black and white anymore.
Welcome.
Now all of a sudden you're in colour.
Awesome to have you guys here, and yourself.
Welcome aboard. Let's go through some tanks. So, what about this tank, Aqua Mate? What do you got going on in here?
A whole lot of blackbeard algae.
Blackbeard algae? Who hasn't had some kind of blackbeard experience before?
Well, to be honest, I haven't really had much to do with it, to be honest. But the whole idea with this tank was to slowly add plants, and just did a live stream with Fish Room Fever talking about how if you slowly add plants, then you can have algae problems, you can have blackbeard algae problems. So this whole tank's going to get a bit of a revamp, but I still love the fish that are in there. I love the school of rummy nose. They're my favourite fish, the way that they respond and behave. We've got the one Pacific blue eye, if you can see him.
I do love rummy nose myself, and the black neon tetras that you've got going on as well are one of my personal favourite fish.
I love them too. They were a bit of a it was a bit of a fluke. They were going to be dither fish for my Kribensis to try and get them to come out a bit more. But I put them in for an hour and one of them got chomped in half by the Kribensis. So the other 5 came in here and they're doing really well. And you can tell you got some females and males, but yeah, I think they're going to stay in this tank. This guy.
Well, I was going to mention him, the goldfish that you point at, because raising a fish like this in a tank with a bunch of tetras and cories and stuff, no doubt will raise some interesting comments in the comment section.
Well, to be honest, he was meant to be in with the other goldfish and they picked on him, and I thought I'd lost him within about 24 hours. So I moved him, just grabbed him out of the tank. He was almost sort of motionless. He wasn't doing a lot. I thought, crap, I've lost him. Put him in with the cories, the pygmy cories, and full recovery. And I thought, all right, well, you can't be in a little tank like that because obviously you're a goldfish. So let's put him in here, which is a big community tank. We've got lots of different fish. He's not going to stay in here forever, but right now it's the right spot for him. But
he goes well with those rummy nose. The colours go back against it from an artistic point of view, but still, we're going to get hate, aren't we, for promoting a fish like this in this kind of tank?
Well, yeah, I don't know. That's one of the fun things of what we do is that if we try something like this, that if it lasts a while, and to be completely honest with you, if I rescape this tank, which will happen in the next probably month on the Aqua Mate channel, we're working in collaboration with Nano Tanks Australia to do something really special with this tank. I'm not necessarily counting him out of being part of that tank. So I really want a big school of rummy nose. I want some more Pacific blue eyes. I'll probably leave the black neons. I'll probably leave the Epistogrammas from Blake's Aquatics until I find a breeding pair. But maybe he's going to be the feature fish for a little bit, and it's just something completely different.
Do you know what I reckon would go great in here? A big wad of guppy grass down in the corner.
Well, lucky I know someone that brought some guppy grass, so
Wouldn't that be fantastic?
unfortunately it's Blake's, but Blake's going to have to come and get it.
A good place to start it growing. Pop it in the corner. That stuff grows just floating or rooted in the substrate. You can't lose with guppy grass. What an awesome plant to have.
Something to sort of learn, I suppose. So you can see this Anubias over here, which is a pretty large size Anubias, and you can see that blackbeard's just covered it. Every time a new leaf grows, you can see just behind that Episto right now how it's bright green and looks really healthy, but it's got no blackbeard on it. It's really interesting because the crypts behind it don't seem to be so affected, but the crypts over here are really affected, and the rock. So this tank's going to have a big cleanup, a bit of a change. I'm going to move all the fish into another tank for probably a month or 6 weeks or so, while we try and put some aqua soil in here, and we'll build up the aqua soil, and then we're going to get a lot of plants to try and help with the algae problem and try and get rid of this blackbeard algae. But this is the feature tank in the lounge room that we need to put some work into.
So it's a beautiful tank and it does deserve some work. So fingers crossed in the near future we see some benefit from that work. But the blackbeard is definitely a struggle that we've all had to endure. And fingers crossed that you can get yourself around that blackbeard struggle in this tank, because it's a beautiful tank. It's a beautiful setup. We're in a dark room looking at a lit fish tank at the moment, but this fish tank and cabinet is a beautiful setup. I'm sure at least half a dozen of you have seen this setup in its entirety on Aqua Mate's channel, and don't forget to check out Aqua Mate's channel to see this tank as well, and be along for the progress of how this tank changes in the next few weeks and months and years and decades.
I'll give you a quick breakdown. So we've got one Ryukin goldfish, we have 3 bronze Cory catfish, we have 2 albino Cory catfish that I just adopted from someone else that were closing down their tank. We have 17 rummy nose.
Only 17?
Well, I'd really like to
Roughly? You'd rather have 19, wouldn't you, surely?
No, I want to have 50. That's the idea. Have a planted tank with 50 of them.
I'd just go for 17 or 19, but...
17 or 19.
50 is a good number too. You can go with 50.
We've got 5 of the black neons.
I love a black neon.
Done really well. I've only got 1 of the Pacific blue eyes. I bought 5 of them for the goldfish tank, and very quickly all of a sudden, they were all good for a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden I went, where have they all gone? So it wasn't the right fit, so I moved them into this tank, and him into this tank, and he's doing well. We've got a koi angelfish up there, who's, I don't think is overly happy. I need to change some things around, and whether he's going to be in this tank in the future, I really feel like he needs to go somewhere else. He still seems strong and everything, but he's not quite how he should be. He's been a lot healthier and a lot more vibrant in the past, and I think he's got some sort of worm, and I try and put some sort of
have you noticed the bizzo up on his dorsal fin?
On the dorsal, where about? The little clouds?
Yeah.
No, to be honest, I haven't noticed that. I've been focusing on that little spot that you might see above his eye. Expensive angels or expensive discus, and you notice a bit of a problem. There we go, the lights out.
How's that going?
Sometimes it's not you, sometimes it is to do with the breed or to do with the genetics of the fish.
Alright, we'll duck off to a different tank. And what have we got going on here in the darkness?
So this is a 23 litre Fluval Edge. And as you learnt earlier, there is a glass top.
There is, in fact, a glass lid. I started unloading a bag of plants for Aqua Mate earlier today, and I had got through half of the bag of plants just dumping them on top of the glass before I realised that the plants weren't actually landing in the water, because in fact there is a glass lid on this tank.
I'll turn the light on for a second. Like, it looks really good now, but just to get an idea of what the actual tank looks like, it's a cube and it's glass. It looks fantastic, but man, it is the hardest tank in the world to keep clean. Fluval, you can quote me on your boxes or whatever. But anyway, what we've got in here was, until about 2 weeks, maybe a month ago, sorry, I was keeping just my male Siamese fighting fish in here, or betta fish, with, you can kind of see, there's a couple dark male endlers with a bit of the orange colouring. A bit hard to see right now. But what I did was I moved him out into that community tank that we were just looking at, and I moved a whole community of breeding endlers into this tank. So even today, I was just saying to Dr. Black, there are brand new babies right at the back and right at the back up there. So there's a whole community in here that are black bar endlers, and they're very hardy. They are probably, let me just say, if you're thinking about getting fish, your first fish tank or anything, and you like fancy guppies, you've got to remember to have some sort of carbonate hardness, some sort of like a crushed coral or sort of a Texas holy rock that you can put in the back of the tank that really helps them thrive. But if you want something else, like these guys, they're a lot easier to keep. They're endless, and I reckon their colours are much more vibrant, but they don't have that fancy tail that you find on a fancy guppy.
Yeah, I don't think you get a very fancy tail on your endlers. You just get that mad colour patterning, the fluorescent colours and stuff. And is it just me, or I see you've got a mystery snail up there who's climbing along the roof. I'm going to be guessing that snail is trying to find a place to lay eggs, but he doesn't have a dry enough spot to lay eggs.
Actually, that's interesting you say that, because I'm not an expert with mystery snails. But I did, the first time ever, I lifted this lid, and in like this, maybe even there because I haven't cleaned it properly, that whole section there, if we can get a bit better light, that whole section there was covered in some like white, hard, like cocoon style sort of thing. And I was like, what is that? And then I grabbed it and I put it back in the tank, and I realised they were all mystery snail eggs. And that is one of the babies from that. And I put them in a few tanks. There's a couple still rocking around now, but I did lose a few. But I think I probably wasn't really focusing on trying to keep them, whereas probably today I would get that sort of set up and I probably would put them in their own tank. I had a tank with some ghost knives and they started picking off all the snails. I've got a video about that, trying to figure out what was going on with my mystery snails from almost a year ago. So feel free to check that out. But I really love the mystery snails, and I really like to keep them in these mini tanks, because when you have a tank this big, you've got to have like a nano fish, you've got to have good filtration, and if you want to add sort of another element to your tank, snails are a good one. Shrimp would be perfect with endlers. When they breed, maybe the endlers will eat the eggs or eat the baby shrimp. But if you've got enough coverage, which is what I had in the previous tank, it would be a really good setup. But having the mystery snail in there with these guys, they're not really impeding on each other. But
no, that's right. Yeah, they're definitely a good accompaniment in a nano tank. They keep up with the feeding on the excess nutrients and whatnot, and as long as you keep up with your water changes and whatnot, they won't present a problem at all.
You're making me think I should get a couple more for there.
And just a footnote as well, this big ball of plant matter in the middle is the plant matter that I smuggled down into this state, and it's not necessarily a part of this fish tank, but Blake, hurry up and come and pick up your plants, mate.
That's a good point. So what I want to do with this tank is I'll remove the sand and I'll remove the fish. I want them to stay in here, but again, I want to probably do what we were talking about with the other tank. I would like to put some ADA soil or aqua soil or whatever in here, build it up a little bit, put a bunch of new plants, not give Blake that, I'll keep it. You know, get some like new plants, and Blake's sort of given me a whole bunch of stuff that's given me a bit of confidence to what I could do in here, because as I said earlier on in the video, this is the hardest tank ever to keep clean. So if I've got a lot more plants in here, that will limit the algae growth because it will be competing against each other. The plants will grow, the algae won't have enough nutrients. So if I can make this a planted tank...
The plants do most of the job for you, isn't it?
Well, that's it. And this tank could be perfect for like anyone that wants, you know, like that pretty modern, sleek looking design tank, as long as you've got the right setup. And I've never had the right setup, and I want to do it in this tank. And
on a small scale too. Small scale.
Yeah, exactly. So this was a present for Harry, and this is actually not on the Aqua Mate channel. This is the first fish tank I ever did a film of. I had a pregnant guppy that didn't make it. Something was wrong. It was a fancy guppy. I made a video about how it was going to have babies, and then it didn't happen. So it's a funny one. This is kind of where Aqua Mate started.
And it's just very deceptive, because I have seen this tank on video before, but seeing it in person, it is a lot smaller than it appears on video, but still looks impressive as a fish tank.
It is at max capacity. These females are so much bigger. Just in case anyone doesn't know, the female endlers or guppies are going to be much larger and a more pale colour, and then your males are the ones with all the colours and fancy patterns and everything. So these guys here are the original black bar endler males, so that's more of a purebred, and then the black ones are more of a crossbreed with a fancy black guppy. But there's so many babies up there. Can you see them? Like, you know they're newborn with endlers, with guppies, because you can see the difference between...
I've got to do more videos on my endler / guppy babies, because I just get so many of these red and fluorescent green ones. Yeah, exactly like...
Looks great.
Exactly like that guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's
she's pregnant too.
move on to the next room.
Well, if we start over here, this is where I keep drinks.
This is a fridge, and it's got some stickers. Look out, fish room stickers.
I know, we've got the new rum ball, we've got Scungy, we've got HC, Fish Room Fever, Aquarium Thoughts, DKF, Blake, Joe, Persiclids, Rob.
Let's not worry about Persiclids. Let's get on to the tanks.
So these are the original Kribensis fry. If you followed the channel before, we did like a day 1 to 90 on the Kribensis fry.
Look at the size of these guys now.
He's amazing, and she is incredible. Like,
they're ready for Rumpty, aren't they?
Pretty much. So what are they like? I reckon they'd be what?
1.5 inches, American speak.
I was going to say about 2 inches, I reckon. Oh, well, she's pretty aggressive up there. But anyway, this is the fry tank for the Kribensis. These guys are all going to have to find a new home pretty soon. So this tank will change pretty soon. But yeah, there's some beautiful looking fish, and definitely love the baby Groot.
Baby Groot. Baby Groot. This is a pot plant.
Yeah, we've got some plants that we're trying to put around the garden out the front, and I like to leave them here, and it makes me, like, I really like the fish tanks with the plants, terrestrial or aquatic. I don't know. I reckon if you put a bunch of tanks together with a bunch of terrestrial plants around them, inspired by the pothos,
Plants is good no matter which way you look at it.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
What do we got in this tank?
I shouldn't be showing you any of this.
No, is this to come?
This is all new. What are the?
I guarantee.
What are the
I guarantee you this video will come out well after you've promoted it on your YouTube channel.
Look, this is a bit of a.
This video will come out on the Dr. Black channel sometime in July 2020.
That looks really nice.
It does.
So we've got a pump running from the bottom of this tank up through the wood. I've drilled a hole up at the top.
I still can't work out where it's coming through.
There.
Oh, look out. Now I know. Now I know. The secret is revealed. It comes through a hole up the top there somewhere.
So I've been inspired by a lot of, what are they, paludariums? Is that the way to say it?
Well, I wouldn't call this a paludarium because it's full of water, but
no, you
right. Do have a little bit of the tank is exposed land mass, so shall we call it?
No,
so
that's
it does
correct.
qualify.
It's not an official paludarium or anything, but we actually had a chat not long ago and talking about putting the Anubias Nano up here.
Yeah.
Not a good idea, I don't think, because it's drying out. Wherever the water's not touching, the leaves are drying out. So I'm trying to find some plants, because that's the whole point of this, is to grow plants or moss or whatever on this piece of wood. The wood's still a bit buoyant. The light is actually holding that down. So I'm focusing on trying to get that right. Underneath we have a whole bunch of Java moss, and I think it's Java fern, or I don't know what you might call that.
It might be Java fern Windelov, but it doesn't have the fingery bits at the end that Windelov normally does. But there's a few different versions of Java fern that go out like that.
Well, like, I absolutely love it, and that's what I'm trying to use up here. I want to change that, make it a lot prettier, but to be honest, this is trying to be sort of as I said, like a paludarium, like, sort of setup. This is kind of the feature of the tank, and I'm not sure what to do in there. Just got a couple baby endlers and a bunch of pregnant shrimp in there, so there's going to be a whole lot of shrimp. So
I'm gonna go on record while we're here talking on video, and say that potentially with this film of whatever it is on the surface of the water, that there may need to be a little bit more surface agitation than what that waterfall provides, because we're getting this build up of film.
Yeah, agreed. Like, if you look underneath,
I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but we can try and have a look.
I think it's picking up a little bit, but yeah, you're exactly right. That's what I thought. I would have more surface agitation, so I probably got to put an air stone or something in there.
That's what I would do, yeah.
It's funny though, because like, yeah, you take that away. Oh,
have you experimented?
How much does that change the water agitation?
Have you experimented with that without the thing on top?
Well,
like, leave it off for a day and see what happens with this film on the water.
To be honest, at first it was actually a lot more, lack of a better word, violent. It was spraying straight over to here, and I thought, oh, I'm going to be in a lot of big trouble. But anyway, this is a work in progress, and it could be something different, something pretty special that I'm excited about. So
keep your eyes out on the Aqua Mate channel for what may happen with this tank soon.
Absolutely, that's something I'm going to be working on.
And let's for the sake of not a 75-minute video, let's move on to the next tank, because we've already discussed a few tanks in excessive detail, where we might be here divorced a little bit later on tonight. So we might as well talk about this one now.
So this is the white cloud tank with the background. So did a video about this not long ago, and we've got 5 white clouds. I lost one straight away, which again, well, we were talking about before, like, you know, got to watch where you get your fish, and not necessarily that it's a bad place to get your fish, but it's not always your fault. If you can get 6 and one doesn't make it, maybe there's another reason. But
yeah,
these guys are really
sometimes
happy.
You get a crap fish.
Yeah, like I think they're like they're good. Like I love the fins on these guys. I don't know about you guys, but I think they're like mini salmon. They look like tiny salmon. That's what I love about them. They like a strong stream, which is what we're trying to do. I would like to get rid of the duckweed. It kind of annoys me. We've got 2 massive anubias plants, and then the pothos, the devil's ivy, the epirepenum berenum. Is that right? Who it's called? And then we've got a bunch of baby endlers from changing this tank over, and we have some red and black cherry shrimp from Blake's Aquatics that I put in there as well. And his I can't remember the name of the plant now, but
It's a rotella something or
that's
other.
it, the rotella. That was pretty much not going to do anything, and all of a sudden it's growing again. So that's cool. We've got some new plants in there too, and there's no heater in there, so that's a cold water tank for everybody at home.
Everyone playing at home. Cold water tank.
And then in here, my pump's not working for some reason, but these are all the plants that Blake gave me. So I had the Amazon swords already, and I had the Bacopa
Monieri.
Monieri. I keep calling it
Brahmi.
Monieri.
People call it Brahmi in the health food industry.
We've got the
Pork chop raspberries or harlequins.
and then the 3 plants that Blake gave me, and they're all growing, but so now I'm sort of trying to learn a little bit more about the plants, how to go about growing these things, and yeah, I love it. Like I'm looking at your camera right now, looking at that, going, yeah, that tank. It's a pretty tank. It's nice to look at.
It does look good.
It's a nice tiny little Nano. It's only 5 gallons.
It actually is, for those watching at home, like Aqua Mate said, from having only seen this tank previously on camera and on the interwebs before, this tank is actually a hell of a lot smaller than what I expected. It is quite tiny and definitely fits the description of a nano tank.
I love my Nano.
It did surprise me quite a deal. I thought this tank was like almost a 2-foot tank just by looking at it on camera. But here I am noticing that it is not, in fact, anywhere close to a 2-foot tank.
So this is the next tank, so I love the sand substrate, and a lot of people like sand, but it's not very good for growing plants. The reason sand's not good for growing plants is because it's so fine, it crushes the roots of a whole bunch of plants. So if you can have something more like the aqua soil over there, or if you can have something more like the gravel, which is over in the other tanks, I built this underwater garden bed and have the 3 rocks holding in that more coarse gravel, and then putting the Vallisneria, planting that in there. It goes nuts. I cut it back and try and make it look a lot neater, and it goes nuts straight away again. But this is the tank with 8 pygmy cories that I'm trying to find a way to breed. So what I do every time that we get a fair rainfall, I put a bucket out, I catch as much rain as I can, and then I use that to top up my tank. Haven't had any luck yet. I think there's one missing ingredient, and I think it may be some live food. But there's another Australian fish tuber that I'm probably going to talk to very soon, and I think we're going to figure out exactly how to sort of nail this, which I can't wait to do because I really want to breed these guys. It's not like they're rare in Australia, but they're not.
They're
super
certainly
common.
sought after.
Exactly, and they are like anyone that wants a nano fish tank. Again, another 20-litre tank, 5 gallons or whatever. They're the best catfish that you could possibly even think about getting. There's no other catfish that will work in that scenario, and they're probably better looking than any other catfish.
They are very good indeed.
What's this?
Point. Oh, I don't know. Some loopy idiots doing drunk stuff.
So this is probably 100 I don't know, I would say it's controversial. You're putting a, what is it, a Lake Malawi lab, the electric yellows cichlid, with a, forgive me if you'd probably know better than I do, but they're like a river Africans dwarf cichlid, so they're like from completely different waterways, but from the same area.
And whether we know where they come from or not, we're still going to get grief about you putting them together.
Well, and that's the thing. So they like different parameters. The Texas Holy Rock, this rock over here, which has got a bit of algae on it. This is crushed coral. So that lifts the pH. So I'm a big believer that when you set up a tank, you've got to set it up from the get-go to be successful, not try and add chemicals all the time. Every time you do a water change, you don't want to be worrying about all that. You can see the female and the male, they're trying to breed again. They've just had a bunch of babies, which obviously have they've either eaten or the yellows have got to them, but this is kind of a game of cat and mouse in this tank. It's a 80, 90 litre tank, so it's like a 23 gallon tank, which I think is perfect for both of them, but they're just so aggressive, these fish, and the Kribensis are winning the battle. So a lot of, part of me thought the Malawi cichlids, the yellows, they're beautiful cichlids, both of them are beautiful, but I thought the yellows might win that battle and sort of find their own space, but the Kribensis are totally... Oh, hang on, is that a baby there?
Where?
I thought there was one with the female there. So the Kribensis have totally taken over this tank, and yeah, this is kind of how it is, and it's sort of an experiment. They're working fine, and the fact that they're breeding, they're all eating well. It's a different tank, and we're going to see how it goes.
And what's going on in this 4-foot tank over here beside us?
So these are the two adopted goldfish. The whole tank was given to me because a friend of mine couldn't keep them. They're building a house at the moment, so they need to there he is. And then again, there's another rescue fish, that sailfin pleco is incredible. Just so you guys know, goldfish and plecos are extremely messy, so trying to keep this tank clean is a real pain. At the moment, the pump, it is working, even though it doesn't look like it is. The flow on this tank has dropped immensely. We've got a couple gold barbs in there that have lasted for a long time, just as some tank mates. But sort of my idea with this tank is probably, I love these guys. We've had a good journey. We've had them for a long time. But I'm thinking I'd like to give them to a pond. Someone that has a pond. They're pretty big goldfish. That's my hand. They're almost the same size. I'm going to keep this guy and maybe Dr. Black. If you can, I'd love to try some rivulatus or something like that in there. That would be perfect for a 4-foot tank, and just 1 or 2 tank mates together and have a more personable fish. Not that I don't like these guys, I love these guys. I've got connection with them, almost losing this guy, but I think they'd really enjoy a pond.
That sailfin pleco is a pretty special guy. He's awesome looking. I have a close affinity to the sailfin plecos myself, and I really do. Well, he's going to run while I'm trying to zoom in on him. He's going to piss off and go and hide behind that black thing. But he's a beautiful fish. I like him a lot. And you know, no harm in seeing if you can rehome those goldies.
I think that's a good idea, because
even if you just get a a big barrel and put it in your backyard and see how they go. They'll probably be alright.
I just think they're probably at that next stage of their life. Like, they're decent size. Like, they're all cool in here, but they do sort of beat up on each other, and I think they're trying to breed. So maybe that's sort of they need to have that.
They might both be males and be trying to find a female, and
have that dominant.
If there's no female there, then they're just going to take that out on each other. But they're pretty decent looking goldfish. Maybe, get a couple of big barrels in your backyard and one per barrel.
Yeah, maybe. It'd be cool.
See what happens. Anyhow, that's Aqua Mate's fish room for now.
Yeah, that's it.
We'll probably find a couple more tanks to have a look at, and we'll check back with you in a little bit. Thanks, you mob. We'll see you soon.
And you also like algae wafers.
Yeah, my dog likes fish food as well.
Don't let Josh see you doing that.
I'm giving him a treat.
The most expensive dog food he'll ever eat.